We're going to show you now the 24-second video, a disturbing video shot from the angle that shows that the shots are still being fired as the officers have stepped backward, far into a safety zone. It is correct to step backward. That's where the safety is. And they have stepped backward into the safety zone, away from that man lying face down on the pavement, and two of them decide it's time to shoot him several more times. Here is that video.
They're doing too much, man, and they keep pushing people, you know? Oh, what the?
The next video you're about to see, and take the time, if you care to go online and watch these videos again yourself. We're only showing them once. They go by in seconds. They're very quick. The action's very quick. You might want to watch it more than once to understand what you're seeing, or see the New York Times analysis of the videos that's available online. But this next video shows Alex Preddy trying to be helpful, not to Donald Trump's federal agents, but to the people in the area. Cars trying to pass through. Alex Preddy is directing traffic to those cars, trying to help out those motorists. And then Alex Preddy tries to be helpful to a woman with an orange backpack who is assaulted by Donald Trump's Border Patrol agents. That agent committed the crime of assault and battery. The agent you will see committing the crime of assault and battery against that woman, because that's what it is, beyond a reasonable doubt on that video, that is assault and battery. That agent is one of the killers of Alex Preddy. Keep that in mind as you watch this video. It begins with the crime of assault and battery committed by an agent who then goes on to commit murder. Alex Preddy, you will see, commits no crime. Alex Preddy tries to help the woman who has been assaulted. And then Alex Preddy gets assaulted. And Alex Preddy and the woman both fall to the ground. And that woman is alive today only because, as you will see on this video, when she's on the ground being assaulted by Donald Trump's Border Patrol agents, she does everything she possibly can to crawl away from the agent who is assaulting her and trying to hold her in place. And because she was successful in crawling as far away as she did from Alex Preddy and from that agent, she is alive tonight. Those 10 bullets would have been used to probably murder her too. Those 9 bullets fired at Alex Preddy after the first shot had probably already killed him. Those 9 bullets would have found her in that kind of shooting spree if she hadn't done everything she possibly could to get away from Donald Trump's federal agents who's trying to hold her in place. So watch Alex Preddy directing traffic, trying to be helpful. Watch the woman with the orange backpack get assaulted, illegally assaulted by that agent. Watch her fall to the ground. Watch Alex Preddy fall to the ground. This will go by in seconds, that action. It's very disturbing to watch. Here is that video.
Go. What the is wrong with you? The people! The is wrong with you? Honestly! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! The f did you just do? The f did you just do? Ah! He is. Liz, somebody call the ambulance. Somebody call the ambulance. Somebody needs to call the ambulance. Somebody call 911. I can't believe they just did that. Holy holy just come on. Come on. Oh my God, you people, man. You're killing us. Why would you do that? Oh my God, oh my God. I can't believe I'm seeing this. I can't believe I'm seeing this. Come on, come on, come on, come here, come on. Come here. It is.
Chest seals.
That blurring was inserted in the video by the network to block the actual sight of Alex Pretty's body lying on the pavement there. And when you watch that video and the aftermath of the murder, the question becomes, why didn't they kill them all? Why didn't they kill them all? There were other brave people on that street who continued to record on video what those agents had done and what they were doing. You can see a woman in that video getting up very close to where the shooting occurred after the shooting. Why didn't they kill her? Alex Pretty didn't do anything more than what she was doing. Instead, those agents, after they've killed someone, after that, they've cooled down enough not to kill everyone in sight. After they've killed one. That's what it takes to get them to decide, oh, this is not a situation in which we have to kill anyone, including this woman who's coming up very close to us now with her camera. And in the end, you see her bending over in agony at what she has witnessed. Why wasn't she killed if it was legitimate to kill Alex Pretty? Remember, the presumption of innocence is only a theory, a legal theory. It is a legal theory designed to structure criminal prosecutions. The structure of a criminal prosecution is based on that theory of presumption of innocence. That's the way the process is constructed. And that, for example, is why there's no requirement in American law that the defendant must testify. In other countries, defendants do have to testify, but not here, because of the presumption of innocence, which binds absolutely no one other than a jury. The only people who are charged with observing the presumption of innocence at the outset of a criminal trial are the jury. The prosecutor doesn't presume innocence. That's why the prosecutor is there. The prosecutor presumes guilt beyond a reasonable doubt in that room and makes that case in that room. No one in the general public is required to presume innocence of criminal defendants or potential criminal defendants. No one in the news media is required by any judicial principle to presume innocence. But the news media, cowed by the phrase presumption of innocence and failing to comprehend it, ends up often softening language in coverage of what we can all see because we are all witnesses now. Donald Trump's dangerously buffoonish FBI director, who was chosen as an insult to the FBI, said this.
You do not get to attack law enforcement officials in this country without any repercussions. You do not get to do that in Minnesota, LA, or anywhere else.
Oh, yes, you do. These people got to do that. And they got to do that because they were doing it for Donald Trump. They were attacking police officers for Donald Trump. And they did it without any repercussions because they did it for Donald Trump. And Donald Trump pardoned every single one of them because they attacked police officers and tried to beat them to death for Donald Trump. Trumpism means believing that if you don't support Donald Trump, the United States Constitution does not support you. You have no rights granted under the Constitution if you don't support Donald Trump. Rights are granted by Donald Trump to Trump supporters. That is Trumpism, as perfectly articulated just then by his buffoonish FBI director. Donald Trump is removing Greg Bovino as the commander of his invasion forces in Minneapolis and replacing him with, who could it be? Tom Homan, who was recorded on an FBI video accepting $50,000 in cash during the last Trump presidential campaign from FBI undercover agents. Donald Trump's Justice Department closed down that investigation of Donald Trump's friend, Tom Homan. But that investigation can be reopened 3 years from now when a Democrat is president. And we will eventually see that video of Tom Homan accepting the $50,000 from the FBI undercover agents. Alex Preddy was an intensive care unit nurse at a veterans hospital. Donald Trump, of course, doesn't care about veterans at all, but he pretends to as a politician and as a campaigner. Alex Preddy devoted his life to veterans, devoted his life to saving their lives. And he did. I, for one, didn't understand that nurses are the greatest heroes who walk among us until I was hospitalized for the first time in 2014 after being injured in the backseat of a taxi cab in a head-on collision. That's when I became, for the first time, fully dependent on nurses for months. I was in awe of their quiet competence and heroism and devotion. I loved my nurses and still do. We can never thank our nurses enough. And the one thing I know about Alex Preddy's life is that he was never thanked enough, no matter how hard people tried to thank him, because we, the patients, can never find the words big enough to express our gratitude and love to our nurses. Alex Preddy's last words were words he said thousands upon thousands of times in his life as a nurse, in his work as a nurse. Alex Preddy's last words were, "Are you okay?" That's what he asked the woman with the orange backpack, who he was trying to help, he was trying to protect. Are you okay? That's what he was worried about, not himself. Are you okay? Jessica Hauser posted this on social media. I was Alex Preddy's final nursing student. He was my friend and my nursing mentor. For the past 4 months, I stood shoulder to shoulder with him during my capstone preceptorship at the Minneapolis VA hospital. There, he trained me to care for the sickest of the sick as an ICU nurse. He taught me how to care for arterial and central lines, the intricacies of managing multiple IVs filled with life-saving solutions, and how to watch over every heartbeat, every breath, and every flicker of life, ready to act the moment they wavered. Techniques intended to heal. Alex carried patience, compassion, and calm as a steady light within him. Even at the very end, that light was there. I recognized his familiar stillness and signature calm composure shining through during those unbearable final moments captured on camera. It does not surprise me that his final words were, "Are you okay?" Caring for people was at the core of who he was. He was incapable of causing harm. He lived a life of healing, and he lived it well. I am a better nurse because of the wisdom and skills he instilled in me. I carry his light with me into every room, letting it guide and steady my hands as I heal and care for those in need. Take one step, no matter how small, to help heal our world. Through these acts, carry his light forward in his name.
Secret Service Special Agent in Charge David Thompson informed Trump campaign manager Susie Wiles that the rally was being canceled for security reasons and that Trump would be evacuated from the venue within the next 10 minutes through a secondary exit route that agents had identified as the only remaining viable option. Campaign officials immediately faced the challenge of how to communicate the cancellation to the 6,200 supporters already inside the Coliseum without triggering panic or anger that could make the security situation even more dangerous. According to the official Secret Service timeline obtained through sources familiar with the incident, Trump had arrived at the Coliseum at 6:19 p.m. and was in a holding room backstage when the cancellation decision was made. Video footage from inside the venue shows Trump campaign staff member Jason Miller walking onto the stage at 6:51 p.m. to announce that the rally was being postponed due to security concerns and that attendees should exit the building calmly and follow instructions from law enforcement. But the announcement triggered immediate anger and confusion among supporters who had waited hours for the event. Multiple videos posted to social media show Trump supporters inside the Coliseum chanting, "Let him speak," and "We're not leaving," in direct parallel to the protesters outside who were using identical chants. The irony wasn't lost on political observers, who noted that both Trump supporters and anti-Trump protesters were refusing to comply with law enforcement directives to disperse, creating a powder keg situation where two hostile crowds were separated only by the venue walls and a stretched thin police presence. Here's what multiple sources with direct knowledge of the Secret Service operation say happened during the critical 18-minute window between the cancellation announcement and Trump's evacuation. Secret Service agents moved Trump from the backstage holding room to a service corridor on the north side of the Coliseum that connected to a loading dock area. The plan was to bring an armored SUV to the loading dock and evacuate Trump to Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, where his campaign plane was waiting. But protesters had anticipated this exact scenario and had positioned groups at every potential exit point around the Coliseum perimeter. At 6:58 p.m., when the armored SUV attempted to approach the loading dock, approximately 200 protesters rushed toward the vehicle, blocking its path and surrounding it. Phoenix police officers in riot gear moved to clear a path, but the crowd density made it nearly impossible to create sufficient space for the vehicle to maneuver safely. Former Secret Service agent Martinez, analyzing the situation afterward, explained that protesters had effectively trapped Trump inside the venue by denying Secret Service the ability to bring evacuation vehicles close enough to transfer the protectees safely. This forced agents to develop an alternative plan that involved moving Trump on foot through a service tunnel that connected the Coliseum to an adjacent parking structure where additional vehicles were staged. The tunnel route had never been part of the primary security plan because it involved Trump walking approximately 400 feet underground through an area that had not been fully secured in advance. And this is where the situation becomes legally and politically explosive beyond anything we've seen in modern campaign history. At 7:04 p.m., Secret Service agents began moving Trump through the service tunnel while Phoenix police attempted to create a diversion by announcing over loudspeakers that protesters needed to clear the main entrance on the south side of the Coliseum. The tactic was designed to draw attention away from the actual evacuation route on the north side, but protesters had apparently anticipated this strategy as well and maintained their positions at all exit points rather than concentrating on one area. Video footage captured by a protester and posted to social media at 7:11 p.m. shows the moment when Trump's motorcade emerged from the parking structure and began moving through side streets away from the Coliseum. Protesters immediately recognized what was happening, and hundreds began running toward the motorcade route, chanting, "Fuck off and go away, Donald," in unison, loud enough to be clearly audible on the video recording. The footage, which went viral within minutes and has now been viewed more than 40 million times across social media platforms, shows protesters surrounding the motorcade vehicles and pounding on windows, while Secret Service agents inside the vehicles drew their weapons in preparation for a potential breach. Phoenix police officers in riot gear pushed protesters back to create space for the motorcade to move, but the vehicles were forced to travel at approximately 5 miles per hour through crowds that kept surging forward, despite police efforts to maintain a buffer zone. Legal experts analyzing the incident say Trump's evacuation under these circumstances creates unprecedented questions about campaign security and the First Amendment rights of protesters. On one hand, protesters have constitutional rights to peaceful assembly and political speech, even when that speech is hostile and confrontational toward political candidates. On the other hand, deliberately blocking evacuation routes and surrounding Secret Service vehicles creates security threats that go beyond protected political expression into potential criminal interference with federal protective operations. Former federal prosecutor Rachel Morrison, who spent 7 years prosecuting cases involving threats against federal officials, posted detailed legal analysis at 9:17 p.m., explaining that 18 U.S.C. Section 111 makes it a federal crime to forcibly assault, resist, oppose, impede, intimidate, or interfere with federal agents engaged in protective duties. The statute carries penalties of up to 8 years in federal prison if bodily injury occurs or if a deadly weapon is used. Morrison noted that while protesters were exercising political speech rights by chanting and demonstrating, the specific acts of blocking Secret Service vehicles and surrounding the motorcade could potentially constitute criminal interference under federal law. The FBI's Phoenix field office announced at 10:23 p.m. that it was opening an investigation into whether federal crimes were committed during the protest and evacuation. Drop a comment right now if you understand the constitutional crisis this creates. But here's what makes this situation absolutely unprecedented and potentially catastrophic for American democracy going forward. This protest wasn't organized by a single group that can be held accountable or negotiated with. Court documents filed by Phoenix police identify at least 47 different organizations that participated in coordinating the protest, ranging from established progressive groups like Move On and the Working Families Party to smaller local immigrant rights coalitions and anti-fascist networks. The decentralized organizational structure means there's no single leader who can be prosecuted or held responsible for the overall operation. It also means the same coordinated shutdown strategy could be replicated at any future Trump campaign event in any city across America. Campaign security experts reviewing the Phoenix incident have concluded that if opposition groups can mobilize 20,000 protesters on short notice to shut down rallies, Trump will effectively be unable to campaign in person in major metropolitan areas where progressive organizing infrastructure is strongest. That would mark the first time in American history that a major party presidential candidate was prevented from campaigning freely due to organized mass opposition rather than government censorship. The implications for democratic norms and peaceful political competition are staggering. But what happened after Trump's evacuation will shock you even more, and it reveals a coordination between protest groups and social media networks that raises disturbing questions about whether tech platforms are being weaponized to suppress political speech they disagree with.